Okay, well, guys, welcome to A Minute with Mom TV and podcast. My name is Tamara Johnson. I am your host for today, and I have a very special guest, virtual guest, in our virtual studio today. Well, not really. We're both in our respective homes, but we're just gonna call it that, okay? In the virtual studio today, I have a very dear friend of mine that agreed to come on the show today so that I can interview her. And we're going to be talking about some really good topics that some of you will be able to relate to. So I want to introduce to you my friend of 33 years. Oh my
Oh no.
gosh.
Oof.
I know, right?
People doing
Um,
math this morning. Stop it.
I did the math yesterday so that I could be prepared. But this
Woo.
is my homegirl. This is my ride or die. This is my
Yeah.
sister from another mister. This is like, I have the best friend in the whole wide world. Like, there's only one of her. She belongs to me. I am very territorial about it. And no,
True that.
you can't have her, but I will share her with you for the duration of this interview. And then I'm going to take her back because she belongs with me. Okay. Can you tell how much I love her? But I want to introduce you guys to Darlene. Darlene, say hello to our viewers and listeners.
Well, hello everyone. It is great to be with my bestie, Tamara. This is just such a great opportunity. I do not do this at
She
all.
sure don't, y'all.
I do not do this at all. But when my girl said, "Hey, let's just have one of our chats and share it with other folks," and I said, "You know what? I'll do it for you."
So, you guys, you're in for a treat because I have the dirt on Darlene, but we're not going to talk about dirt
We're not gonna
because
talk about that. Hey, that
we
goes both
are
ways.
each other's sisters. So, you have to
Uh-huh.
hold your sister
Uh-huh.
down. And there's some things that you take to the dirt with you. So, those things will not be discussed. Okay. They're going to die with us. Okay.
Correct.
Not right now, but
Correct.
later. I
Yeah.
will never speak of those things. And she won't speak of mine either because
No.
it's right.
No.
Okay.
No.
Anyway, what are we talking about today? Today we are talking about breaking barriers in motherhood.
Mm,
And I kind of gonna do like a little series because I am a mom, you are a mom, and we
mm-hmm.
often find ourselves on the phone talking about all the mom things. We talk
Yep.
about everything that entails being a mom. But one of the
Right.
things that we often talk about is how different our lives are. So you are a mom, but you decided to go the career route. And
Right.
I decided to double down and be a full time mom at home with
Right.
my kids. And while they are both work, so we're talking about the working mom, but before, let me just put this disclaimer out because people sensitive, okay?
Yes. Yes.
All moms work. Let me
Amen.
look in the camp. Let me look at you, let me look at you while I say all moms work. Okay. It is a lot of work. Whether
Yeah.
you work outside the home, whether you work inside the home, whether you're doing a hybrid, whether you are an entrepreneur,
Mm-hmm.
we work. Okay. From the moment that conception takes place, we start working because our bodies are working to keep this
Right.
child alive, and then they're born, and then we really have the responsibility to keep them alive and fed and clothed and sheltered and all of the
Right.
things. And
Always
so
on our
it's
mind.
all work.
Yeah.
However, today I want to talk about moms who decide to go back to work after having their children and what that looks like for
Mm,
my friend Darlene. Also, I want to talk about what it's like being a working mom, and you work in a corporate setting. And so that
mm-hmm.
comes with some challenges when you're throwing in the corporate demands of your job and then
Right.
coming home and having to balance that out as a mother. And do you turn one off and turn one on? Are they sometimes simultaneously going at the same time? So we're going to dive into those things and talk about that. So I just wanted to put that disclaimer out there because y'all sensitive about every doggone thing
Yes.
that you don't
Yes.
need to be.
Yes.
But we
Got to
all
put it
work.
out
So
there.
now that we
Yeah.
have cleared that elephant out of the room,
Elephant cleared.
let's jump into this interview and just see where it goes. And you guys, if the shenanigans and the foolishness and the mayhem ensue,
We're gonna
Um,
try. We're gonna
just
try to
we're
keep
gonna
it.
try to be
Uh,
very
yeah.
professional, but this is 33 years of foolishness and mayhem. So we might
Yes.
get a little crunk on you, but we're going to bring it back to the main point. Okay.
Right.
But the
Right.
whole idea is to encourage, empower, and uplift and have a little fun in the process. So let's go.
Amen.
All right. So, Darlene, my first question for you, and I have my notes over here. So if I'm not looking at you, I'm looking at my paper. Um,
Okay.
I want to discuss. Okay, so we want to discuss your work life balance as a mother and working in corporate America. What does that look like?
First, let's talk about that word balance.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So we talk about, and you hear it all the time. There's books, there's people out there having conferences, work life balance, work life balance. As long as we understand that if we're expecting balance to be literally that things balance out 50-50, we're already walking into a trick bag.
Mm,
There are days you are going to absolutely fail as a parent and put and prioritize work. And then there's days that you are going to prioritize your family and just absolutely fail at work. It's figuring out a way to give yourself grace, and it's figuring out a way to understand how to hopefully be proactive if you can, but there's just times when you just cannot, when things just come up. uh, Also too, with children, their hearts are crushed when you can't attend things that you said you were going to do, but all of a sudden something comes up that you weren't expecting and you have to do because it's your job. It's always going to tug at you. It's always going to hurt. You're always going to wonder, should you, could you? You just have to make a decision in that moment and just pray that your family understands enough. And it's not that you can make it up with gifts, it's really more about time that you have to give them,
mm,
and just really being clear and explaining why you missed something or why something didn't come together or why it didn't happen. And I would say the same too for work. I'm fortunate that in the company that I work for, they really do value working parents, moms and dads. And if at all possible, the last thing that they want to do is disrupt promises that you made to attend a game, to attend a recital, to be, even to come in late because you want to go to an award ceremony for your kindergarten or all of that. Like,
right.
we understand the blend and just
Mm.
understand that there's times when
I
it's just
like
going to
that.
feel all kiltered. But
I like that you said
that's important.
blend because it's
Yeah.
not. So, are you saying ditch the scale and just go for like your blending brush and like we just
You
kind of
have
blend it all
to.
together?
You really have to, because if you're it's hard to say that you absolutely can turn this thing off and turn this thing on all the time.
Right.
It's just going to blend. It's going
Got
to
it.
blend. And if you're fortunate to work for yourself or work with an organization that is so giving an understanding of the importance, it's like we spend so much time with other people outside of our family.
Hmm.
And the organization understands that we do this for profit. We do
Right.
this to pay our bills. We do this, for multiple reasons. I mean, if everybody was independently wealthy, like, who literally would really want to go into a place for, eight
No,
hours,
because
nine
me
hours a
and you
day?
would be on the beach somewhere drinking pina coladas and mai tais. Like,
Okay.
hello.
Right, right. In between taking our children to everything that
Right.
they need to go to until they're of
Right.
a driving age and can take themselves.
Right.
I mean, it's no one wants to have that tug, that pull. Although I will be honest, when we went through COVID and we were all in the house together,
Mm-hmm.
um, I was definitely looking forward to going back to the office because it was
Okay,
just a
so
lot.
let's
It was
talk
just a
about
lot of
that.
seeing
Let's
everybody
talk
at
about
all
that
at the whole
because
time.
when okay, so when we both okay, so we had kids, we were pregnant together and
Hmm.
not pregnant together. So our
Right.
kids, both of so you have two boys, I have four girls. Well, two of our kids, which would mean four of our kids, are both 3 months apart.
Yeah.
Whether it's one, yours are older and mine is younger, or mine is older and yours is younger,
Right.
they're 3 months apart, right? Because that's what best friends do. When one gets pregnant,
We
the other,
scheme.
doubles down in solidarity and says, I'm gonna get pregnant too. Because we married and we could do that. If you're a teenager, no, you're not doing that. Do you understand
Right.
me? You don't do
Right.
that. Okay. You pray for her and you go to the baby shower and that's it. But
Yep.
you're not, I'm gonna get pregnant. No, cut that out. We're not doing that. Okay. Back to this thing, right? Because you knew that you wanted to go back to work.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Once you, and I was like, I'm not leaving my baby.
Yeah.
So what was that like? Because I feel like there's a little bit of a misconception and there's a little bit of an unspoken silent war between mothers who choose to go back to work versus
Right.
mothers who choose to stay home. And I would really like to bust through that barrier of the ideation that one is better than the other, and it's
Neither.
simply just a matter of choice of what
It's a
fits your
yeah.
family and what is good for you. So let's talk about, how did you know that you needed to go back to work?
You just know yourself. And
Mm,
for as long as we've known each other, um, it doesn't make me less of a nurturer or a mom. I just mom differently than you. And I know your ability to be a hands-on nurturer in a way that I am very jealous of sometimes, but I know that that's just not my personality.
right,
And I also feel that God gives you, exactly like what you need. And I don't want to come off as though I do not nurture my boys. I I feel though it's interesting. I grew up with sisters, so I have sisters, but my mom jokes like I was the boy that she never got because
mm,
I was really that like extreme tomboy
mm-hmm.
kind of a
Yes, you
girl.
were. Okay, so pause, put a pin right there
Oh god.
because
Okay, this is where the
okay,
shenanigans come in, people. This is where
here
the
comes the
shenanigans because
let me
she's
tell
about to
y'all,
tell a
let me tell y'all
shenanigan
about my
story.
friend.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the very unprofessional side of me. But if you've been rocking with
Uh-huh.
me for a minute on my channel, you already know the crazy and the cuckoo, right? Here we
Right.
go.
Right.
This chick right here played volleyball. She also played tennis. Did you do other
Mm-hmm.
things? I felt like you
Like
swam a little
track
bit.
or some other
Did
stuff.
you swim on the swim team a little bit?
No, no, no,
Oh,
no, no,
okay.
no. Like a little bit of
So,
track.
y'all, but her main sport was volleyball. Okay,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell your business just a little bit because this one
Okay,
is
just
so funny to
I'll
me.
give you a little
This
bit. I'll
one
give you a
is
little
this,
bit.
y'all gonna laugh on this one, okay? So my best friend called me up one day, and it's dinner time, and I'm eating my dinner, and she calls me up crying, and this girl never cries, okay? Like something got to be really wrong if she's crying. I'm the crier, and she's more like the what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Kind of type.
Literally.
Right. So she calls me up crying, and I'm like, oh God, did her mama die? Like, what happened?
Right,
This
right.
girl is on the phone and she's like, Tamara. I said, girl, what's the matter? And she said, I think I killed somebody. I said, what?
I really
I
did.
think I
I
killed
really
somebody.
did.
I said, what you mean you killed somebody? She said, I was playing volleyball and I spiked the ball, and I didn't know the girl had asthma, and the ball hit her in the chest, and she knocked out. I said, "What?" She was like, "They called an ambulance," and she turned blue. I think she's dead, y'all.
It was right. Okay, people, people. This is high school. And again, I'm a mom who has raised boys who both play football.
Yes,
And I've seen, so I know that my reaction was not crazy because I've
right.
seen like when someone gets like taken out and they laid out and they
Yeah,
don't get up
yes,
on their own after like 5 minutes.
right,
And at football games, you've got the ambulance that's always like very close by. And it's like the
right.
worst feeling when you
In
see
the world.
somebody like
Yeah,
on a stretcher, but then you're hoping that there's some movement or something so you know that they're
right,
okay.
right.
And when this girl was not moved, it's like, who gets taken out of the volleyball game, right? Like,
Right.
I mean,
And that's
outside of like
why
maybe a
I'm just
twisted
cracking up.
ankle, you're like, you might like break something, or
Right,
your rotator cuff goes out,
correct,
or something like
correct.
that, a knee
Sprain an
injury.
ankle. Yeah,
Right, right, but
yeah.
not like take a ball to the chest knocked out.
Girl, you
So,
took her out. You took her
uh,
out. I said, said,
Which
"Oh my
everybody,
God,
by the
learn
way,
about
she's
volleyball."
fine. She's fine. She's
She was
fine.
fine,
Let's just
y'all.
be
Don't
careful.
look
Yeah, yeah,
and look.
yeah,
Don't come
yeah.
for me because I'm laughing because it was funny. Okay, y'all wasn't there.
Right.
You had to be in the moment of your best friend calling you up at what? We were all of what, 16, 17,
Mm-hmm.
and she's
Yeah.
like convinced that she killed somebody.
It was
And I'm like,
traumatizing.
there's no way
Traumatizing.
you could have killed her with a volleyball. This is where my mind is at. And she's like, you
Right.
don't understand, girl. Okay, but see, the problem with why I was laughing so hard and why it's still funny to me is because up until that point, I had never been to one of your games. It wasn't
Mm.
actually until we went to college together that
Mm-hmm.
I went to your practice and
Okay.
I
Yeah.
saw
The
how
way in which we
hard
hit.
I saw you in action, and I was a little bit scared. I was like, oh my word. I was like, well, now it all
Uh,
makes sense. Yeah, you
yeah.
absolutely did almost kill somebody with a volleyball. Like, you guys do not understand how
Just had the wind
powerful
knocked out.
her
Yeah.
spike is. Like, okay, so another backstory. When we met 33 years ago,
Hmm.
we almost fought.
It's that whole Bronx, Brooklyn thing.
Right, because she's from Bronx, I'm from Brooklyn, and if you know, you know. And so it went a little something like this. I walk into the room and I see Darlene sitting in the teacher's desk with her feet up, reclined back like she the teacher. So I had a problem with that. So I was like, "Why are you sitting here?" And she's like, "Cause I can." And she, just like how you just rocking back in your chair right now, that's kind of like her attitude. Like that's
Kind
just
of, sort
Darlene
of.
all day,
Yeah.
every day, and twice on
Right.
Sundays. Like she has not
Kind of,
changed.
sort of. Kind
And
of,
so,
sort of.
yeah, I had a problem with that. So I was like, "You ain't the teacher, get out the chair." And she was like,
Right.
"Make me." And
Right.
so it was like, and then we became best friends. I
Right.
don't even know how that happened, but I'm so glad it did because, girl, what
I
would my
think
life be?
the Lord just knows when you need something in your life that's
Yes,
not you.
yes. And we are night and day,
And
but
right,
it
we're
works.
similar. There's similarities, but then
Right.
there are
And they're
distinct like
cultural
night and day.
similarities because we
Yeah.
both come from Caribbean families.
Right.
But when I say we're night and day, it's like I am the irrational side of Darlene, and Darlene is the rational side of me. And this is why we go together because,
Like peanut butter and jelly.
right, like we just make sense.
Without
And
that.
so it's not funny to me how our paths are so different,
Right.
but they always meet together somewhere in the middle. But I also feel like it's because we've been able to appreciate our differences over the years.
Mm-hmm.
We've been able
Mm-hmm.
to even if we haven't always agreed, because we don't always agree, y'all. Like we have debates
We
and they
do.
get a little intense sometimes, but never to the point of intentionally hurting the
Right.
other person. But it's just that we're both strong-willed individuals and we believe what we believe and we're very passionate about it. So the thing that I
Agreed.
love about our dynamic is that we can come from two different perspectives, but always try to find the commonalities within it. And so when it comes to you working, going back to work, and me staying home, you said earlier that sometimes you're jealous of the nurturing that I have, but I'm sometimes jealous of you because I'm like, I am at home with the children
Right.
and you travel and you go to
Yeah.
different,
Right.
like, so in my mind, and don't worry, I'm gonna make it make sense in a little while because I know it's not all what it appears to be, okay, people. But to the stay at home mom, sometimes we look at other moms
Mm-hmm.
who have careers and they work and they travel, and we just see the glamour of
Mm-hmm.
you're jet setting, you're in your power suit, you're walking
Mm-hmm.
down the concourse in the airport, and you can do
Mm-hmm.
this, and you're putting it on your bill for lunch, you're charging it to your account, and this, that, and the other. Mind
Right.
you, let me just dispel all the stuff because my husband used to travel too. Listen, them
Yeah.
expense accounts. Look, I'm do like the guy on social media. Look, come here,
Okay, come
come
here
here,
closer.
come here, come closer. Okay. I love him, by the way. I
I
forgot his
know.
name, but y'all know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Look, it's an expense account, and Darlene, you can speak to this. You have to be accountable for that.
Oh, of
Like,
course. Unless you
you
want to
can
get
get
fired.
a don't be on the company's dime just out here charge.
Right, right. You have to
Don't do
have
that.
good reason. It has to
Right.
be, yeah, outside of your per diem and then whatever you're charging in
And you have to
terms of like
document all
entertainment.
of those
Yes.
things.
Yeah.
Yes.
You got to put
So
everybody who was with you and they have to have a
correct.
company and title. You
Correct.
don't just keep,
Otherwise,
yeah,
when you do that for your own personal gain, that's called embezzlement.
kind of.
That gets you
Yeah.
in jail. So I just want to put that out there for the young ones who are watching and like,
Mm-hmm.
I want to be that
Mm-hmm.
girl because then I'm gonna be
Yeah.
in this, and this. That's not how it works, boo boo. Okay,
Yeah.
the company card is for company expenses. Okay, and so Darlene could tell you kind of what those things would be, but it's stuff like renting a car, right? Or
All of, yeah, renting your
all of
car,
those
your
things that
hotel.
right,
Um, because we do what's called per diem, which is like what you get given per day where you don't
right,
need to turn in receipts, which typically would be your meals. But once you start to entertain, if it's more than, let's just say you're going to a city where it's like $50 a day, your $50 a day means that's your breakfast, lunch, and dinner
right,
allowance. It's like an
right,
allowance that you have where you don't need a receipt. But the moment
right.
you are entertaining partners, vendors, anybody, and your dinner bill is now $100 and you put it on the company card, you have to go to the level of detail of explaining like who was with you
Why? Exactly.
and like the why the dinner.
Right.
Yeah. So all of
Okay,
those
so
things.
there's that part. So while I was sitting over here, like saying, "Oh my gosh, it's so glamorous," and, and you're like coming back from a trip sometimes tired, you're spent. You
Right.
let's talk about when you travel to different time zones and you come
Yeesh.
back. And I have been on the phone with you. I haven't seen it, but well, yes, I have because I've come to visit and seen you in action. But I've seen you land from a coastal trip. So you're on the
Mm-hmm.
East Coast. I've seen you go all the way to the West Coast, come back, get to the airport, go catch one of your son's games, come back,
Mm-hmm.
take
Mm-hmm.
care of the people that you manage that are under you because you're a director. And so then that
Mm-hmm.
tells me that you have people that report to you. You've
Mm-hmm.
got to do your reports and then don't let it be month end. And so you working
Mm.
moms can all identify with some of the terminology that I'm using that
Right.
I've only heard because of my friend who is in corporate and also my husband who was in corporate. And so I'm familiar with these terms. So when the point that I'm trying to make in bringing all of this up, I will make it make sense, is that it's very easy to stay on the outside
Right.
and look at another woman's life and say, oh, wow, that must be so glamorous. That must be so wonderful. Because all you're seeing is the cute hair, the
Right.
makeup, the clothes, the jet setting, what appears to be jet setting. But what you guys don't see is how exhausted my
Yeah.
friend is. You don't see when we're on the phone and she can barely have a conversation because she's jet lagged or
And
she's falling asleep.
I fallen asleep
Fell
on you and had to
asleep on me.
call the next day. I am so
I mean,
sorry.
several times I have been
Oh,
like really divulging my
I
heart,
know.
and I
I
hear
know.
on the other end, and I'm like, "What? Hello, 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 Darlene,"
Oh,
and she gone,
yeah.
y'all. She slapped
Gone.
out. Okay, she is slapped out,
Yeah.
knocked
Yeah.
out, and so it's it is a blend. It is a blend. It really isn't a balance because you have your children is one thing. You have me is another thing, which is
Right.
a necessary component to
Right.
the whole makeup of a woman. It's not just about your job and your kids or whatever. It's the whole compass, right,
Right.
of a woman. And then you have your marriage. So let's
Woo.
talk
Yeah.
about being married
Mm,
in a corporate job
mm,
with children,
mm,
best friends,
mm.
and then you tired and you come home and hubby's like, "Hey girl,
Yeah.
how you doing?"
Haven't
What
seen you
is that
in a
like?
week. Um, so you have to thank God every day if you've been blessed with a partner who can understand that all and
Yeah.
understand that there are times when they feel that they are not prioritized.
Mm.
And then you have to really check in with yourself and say, okay, how do I make that up? Because they really sometimes become a little lower on the funnel list. And I think that's the motherly instinct of I come home and check in on the boys. If like I have one iota of strength left when I walk in the door, that's like where I want to go and see like, are they okay? All right,
Right.
hubby, love you. I'm gonna go shower, take a nap, and I will catch you in the morning. Like that's just
Mm.
it's very tough. But the important thing is having those conversations. It's not easy.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it's not easy to have a spouse who really put a lot of his career to the sidelines for the health of our children.
Mm. Mm.
Imagine you have a, a corporate wife who says, so we're going to pick up and move to, and it's like 1,000 miles
Right.
away from
Right.
all of your friends and family
Right.
3 times
Right.
in
Because
a
what I
20-year
didn't say
marriage.
is that your specific titles have always included relocating. So there's yet
Right.
another
Right.
layer of not only are
Just
you
adds on to that. Right.
lending yourself to the corporate job and, literally spreading yourself across all of these different, what's the word? Not avenues, but all of these different areas in
Yeah.
your life.
Channels. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
these
different
channels,
funnels,
right?
channels. Right.
And then job says, "Hey, we want to move you to Charlotte. Hey, we want to move you to Timbuktu." And
Right.
family just has to be okay with it.
Just have to be okay with it. Just have to like new
So
school
it's
for the
like
children.
military.
And
Yeah.
it's a bit like military. And I've had many people have asked the same question, how have you done it?
Right.
How have you done it successfully?
Right.
And I go, well, um, the family will let me know if it's successful or unsuccessful
Mm,
because at the end of the day, I know who I am in terms of I'm going to show up, I'm going to get the job done. There are enough charts and graphs and reports and year end reviews to let me know my performance because
right.
it's pretty structured on the corporate side.
Hmm.
But the family will let you know if it's been successful. And
So have they let you know, Mom, you're sucking?
um, yeah, yeah.
Ouch.
Not so much as they've gotten older, but
Right.
definitely
When they
I
were
felt it when
younger
they were younger.
and brutally
You
honest.
just feel the disappointment.
Right.
You just
Yes.
absolutely feel a
And
disappointment.
little kids don't have the filter or the
Right.
the language to tell you, I really didn't appreciate you not being there and it hurt my
Hmm.
heart. Like, it's not going to come out like that.
Right.
It's more going to come out like, well, our kid, let me preface this. Our children,
Right.
mine and yours, are very articulate children because we've raised them that way. So they might say it in a very grown up way, but
Hmm.
not really understand the impact of how it lands on the mother's heart, right?
Right.
So, can you recall a time when one of your sons might have said something to you that just absolutely annihilated your mother's heart and you were just like,
Yeah. It's as simple as busy, busy kind of all week, typical schedule, but then comes oh, in the morning, hey, by the way, I'm not going to be home until like 9 o'clock tonight because
"Mhm,
I've got to go to a dinner with vendors. And then they kind of go, seems like you always having fun without us. It's
ooh,
like
oh
dagger.
my God."
And then look over to my husband for support and
And
he
he's like,
and
I don't
he
got
just
nothing to
he's
say.
like this. He's like this. Like Kermit. Legs
Ooh,
crossed.
oh,
Like those are your children
yes,
too.
which leads us into the topic of mom guilt. Because that's real. And that's whether you a stay-at-home mom or work, what you just gotta be a mama. You just
Right.
gotta be somebody's parent. You're gonna have guilt
Yeah.
on all levels, on all fronts. It's going to hit you out of nowhere. Some of it you can see coming, but most of it you don't. It just kind of comes in the moment. How do you handle what does that look like for you? How do you deal with that?
It's gotten better. I have progressed into other areas and other roles and opportunities that haven't had me as locked to, okay, I got to be here, travel here. So, with a little less travel, it's actually been a blessing as the boys got into high school and really started getting into high school sports and spending time with them, that I could be at pretty much like 85% of everything. Um, and even schedule things. Again, there are times when it's like I couldn't attend something, I just couldn't be there because I had to go somewhere else. But that mom guilt, it's like what I said before, going back to, there are just days you are going to win as a parent because they're so happy to see you. You showed up and they know that it was a sacrifice. And then there's other days that you just couldn't. But I will say this, my oldest, as he is now a sophomore in college and has said, I appreciate how much you do for the family.
Oh,
And he's so appreciative. And he just talks about like how, and even I'll go to one further. He said, I appreciate that dad was able to be at everything,
mm,
and he was always around to take us where we needed to go and train with them. And he would take
mhm,
them to the track and he would train them on track, and he would train them, like we would invest all these different things in sports machines and just different sport classes to take them through for like calisthenics or just for agility. um, that's when you know. So you
yeah,
don't get, like I mentioned before, right? Like it's not a performance review, an annual
right,
performance review, but there's a moment in time when it does come full circle. And it's just that level of acknowledgement of, I've seen my friends and I've seen the ones where both their parents are working all the time,
right,
or they're in a separate household, or they have to actually, like he knows friends that actually have to have a job on top of school and everything else
yeah,
just to pay for their things.
right,
Um, but for him to say, I really appreciate how the kind of life that you and dad helped build,
right.
and then you just go, it was worth it.
Yes.
That
The
is the
sacrifices, the tears, because you had to you had, as I know that you're not a crier, but you had to have moments where you got a little teary-eyed of just the weariness of, constantly juggling all of these balls at the
yeah.
same time and sometimes dropping a few.
Right. And then, and let's not even talk about all the things we as women go through
Girl.
medically, because we do, birth children and have
Right.
cycles, and
Right.
just like
Right.
when you just don't feel good, you just don't
You're
feel
just
good, but you
tired,
still
or you're
gotta
just tired.
or
You're
just
just
you still gotta show
exhausted.
up.
And it's like you've been giving, 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 giving. And then you get home and you
Mm-hmm,
finally have that 5 minutes. And I know all mothers can relate to this because
mm-hmm.
as a stay at home mom, I'm constantly giving from the
Right.
moment that I wake up to the last few minutes that I lay down, depending on, because I have a 2-year old. So I am in both worlds. I am in
Yes.
the almost empty nester world with my three eldest girls, because my eldest is 23, she'll be 24 in July. And then my third daughter is 17 and she will be a senior in high school next year. So we're getting ready for another graduation. And then I have the
Mm-hmm.
2-year old, and my middle daughter is in college. And so I am spread wide,
Yeah, really
and
across all the spectrums.
all the spectrum. So I am feeling every stage
Mm-hmm.
all at once. And it's
Right.
like
Right.
the emotional pull of, oh my God, I can't believe she's going to be 24. Oh my God. She said, a longer sentence today, or she colored a picture by herself. And oh my God, you got your first job. And oh my God, um, she can't fit in her two T's anymore. And where's my baby? Like, I'm
Right. Right.
constantly ping ponging back and forth between all of those things. and being pulled in the different direction, whether it's mom, can you take me to so and so, or mom, come to my award
Mm-hmm.
ceremony, or mommy,
Mm-hmm.
I need cuddles, or whatever it is. And then you get to the part of your day where you finally think that it's quiet and you have a moment so you can just, and then you hear, and I'm like, for me, I'm usually in the bathroom. Can I go to the bathroom
Right. Right.
without company? And let me just say, it ain't because it's just a 2-year-old, because the 24-year-old still busts in the bathroom. Like,
Right. And want to have a
I
full on
have girls.
conversation.
Right. Your boys probably don't bust in on you in the bathroom because you have
Right.
boys. But girls don't ever stop.
Right.
It never stops. Like,
Right.
they
Yeah.
just come, and I'll be like in there and I'm like, ma'am, I am having a full moment. And
Right.
they come and they stand in the doorway and they're like, I want to tell you about my day.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
do you
And you
see
have
what
and
I am taking care of business right now? Do you really want to stand here and tell, yes, mommy, everybody's stuff stinks. I want to tell you about my
right.
day.
Right. They have
And
things
I'm like,
that things they want to talk about. Right. And
this
and
was
the
my one time to just let it all go, like literally and figuratively.
literally, literally. Um, that you just you there'll be times when my youngest, he'll call me and I'm still at work because he's out of school, and and sometimes it's just to ask me if he can have my leftovers.
Right,
And I'm just
right,
like, call me for that.
right,
But lately it's sometimes to just say, hey, how's it going, what's going on?
right.
And even the one that's in college. And if I don't have a meeting on my calendar, if I do not have something that I'm like prepping for or have to be, I will take that call. I will
Yes,
100% take that call, because I have come to realize, like, as they're getting independent and if they are wanting to talk, I need to talk to them. And I try to spend my lunch hour checking in with the hubby.
right,
So because he works for himself, so he's
right,
usually available. And if I'm not having to attend something, that's who I check in with at lunch. Like,
right.
it's like, hey, how's your day going? What's going on? So, and being purposeful, I think going back to what you said, how do you make it all work? When I wasn't intentional, because I was coming home and I was just so tired. And like I mentioned, I would like prioritize the children. And as they've gotten older, they're taking care of themselves. It's the intentional on a Friday. I might not really have wanted to go out to dinner because like I really want to just eat what's in the house. But I
Right,
know the importance of the time of like, hey, let's go out and go grab
right,
something,
right,
because we don't have to call it date night,
right.
but that time invested one
Hmm.
on one, kind of
Hmm. Yeah.
dating your
You
spouse
still
all
have to
over
nurture
again.
your marriage. Like,
Right.
you're not just nurturing your children. So, like, just because you have kids doesn't mean that, okay, I'm a mom now, so hubby take a back seat. Like,
Take a
this is
back seat and
something
call me at 20. Call
in
me in
20, like,
20
check back in
years.
20 years. Girl, he may not be there. Okay. He,
This is
look,
so true. This is true.
real talk, for
Yeah.
real, because this is how we
Right.
roll. Let me
Yeah.
tell y'all something right now. Children are wonderful and they are a blessing, okay? And nobody knows that more than we do. And for those of us like myself, where children didn't come easy and we had to really
Hmm.
work hard and go through infertility and all that stuff, I understand the um tendency to really want to focus all of your time and your energy on this child that you waited so long
Right.
to be able to have. However, you cannot neglect the person that's been with you by your side during the whole of it. And
Right.
so just
So true.
because we're mothers, we have to also remember we're wives too,
Yeah.
right? And but also in remembering that we're wives, we were a person first. Before we were
We sure
a
were.
wife,
Yeah.
we were a person. And we had our dreams and we had our goals and we had our
Hmm.
aspirations and we had certain things that we promised ourselves. We had certain things that
Right.
we wanted to achieve for ourselves. So, what I'm trying to say is let's not forget, as we're looking at all these different facets of a woman, whether it be her being a wife, her being a mother, her being a career woman. You cannot forget the core of who you are. Who were you before all those things came? And remember that when you're nurturing in this season of nurturing, do not neglect to nurture all parts of you, not
Yeah.
just the parts that
So
are just
true.
in your face. You have to nurture the parts that maybe you have forgotten about. Like, what, go back to that young girl who was dreaming. What did
Mm-hmm.
she want to do in life? What did
Mm-hmm.
she want to be in life? What were her goals? Have you met any of them? Have some
Right.
of them changed? And if they have, that's okay, because we're not meant to stay the same.
Right.
We're supposed to evolve. We're supposed to grow. We're supposed to change our mind about things, and it's totally okay for you to change your mind.
Mm,
You don't need
agreed.
anybody's permission to change your mind about anything pertaining to you. It's your life. You do what you want to do with it. You make it what it is. But don't neglect one area because you're in a season with a different area. You have to try to make small deposits. And something that rings true for me that you said to me, Darlene, in one of our many discussions, we were talking about fitness. And,
Mm-hmm.
you are a fitness buff. Okay. Guys, she's annoying. She's the annoying friend that when she comes to visit you on vacation, instead of just leisurely waking up in the morning, this heifer got to go have a morning
I
run.
mean,
She got to go put her Nikes on or whatever
right,
she's running
right,
in, and
right.
put her little sweat headband on, and pop in her thing.
Uh,
And sometimes when her hair's longer, she has a little ponytail that's just bopping back and forth. And she goes running through my neighborhood. And I'm like, girl, I have not seen you in a month of Sundays, and you going
right.
to go run? And she's like, yes, I have
Yeah.
to. This is how I take care of my temple. And I'm not making fun of her. I actually envy her because I don't have that superpower. Okay.
Yeah,
I
I
have the
know.
superpower of what we gonna eat, where we gonna eat at. That's my problem. Okay. But one of the things that you said to me was, in your encouraging me, because we encourage each other. That's the
Yes.
dynamic of our friendship, of our sisterhood. Like, we're more than
Yeah.
friends. We are sisters, and we joke all the
Spiritual
time.
advisor.
Yes,
You are
that one
definitely
of
mine.
us went to the wrong womb. I don't know which one of us took the left turn. It was one of us, okay? But we went to the wrong womb because we should have been like blood sisters. But your friends are the family that you choose, okay?
Amen.
Amen. But you said to me, when you do anything that is nurturing for yourself, whether it be, a walk, a run, deciding to eat healthy, eating a salad, anything that makes you better, feels better, it's like small deposits.
Mm-hmm.
And that really stuck with me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that can be spread out through all of the different genres of womanhood. When
Yeah.
you take the time to be intentional, to make small deposits into yourself, you may not be able to fully give yourself to one area of your life. Just like, you were a working woman, and then you became a mother, and then you had to figure out how to blend the two. You said earlier in the interview that you can't always give your full attention to one area. But what I've heard you say in the course of this interview is that you've made incremental deposits over time, and your return on your investment is your
Mm-hmm.
son saying to you, Mom, I appreciate all that you have done
Mm-hmm.
for our family. Okay, like little tears, okay,
I know.
because
Unsolicited, like didn't ask him. It was
unsolicited,
just
because
that's where
listen,
you know, okay,
yeah, we're hard on ourselves as
we
women.
are.
We
Just
are
gotta
harder on
we have
ourselves
to give
as
ourselves
mothers
grace.
because somewhere along the line, part of it is the culture of
Yeah.
motherhood. We grew up watching shows of the Brady Bunch and Claire Huxtable, and
Mm-hmm.
all these different types of TV moms,
Right.
as we were sitting there going, ooh, I want to be like that. Claire
Yeah.
Huxtable was wonderful, but look, she was damn near perfect. And that's not reality. You
It's
don't
not.
go to work being a lawyer, and, we hardly, first of all, we hardly ever saw Claire working. Okay. She
No,
was dressed, she was coming home from work, but we hardly ever saw her in the office. We never saw her do
I
a
don't even
court
know if
case.
she litigated. Like, was she a
She only
litigator or did she?
litigated when Sandra got the car fixed and the guy tried to stiff her. That's the only time I saw Claire Huxtable in the doggone court. Okay.
After all those
So
years?
after all these years, and I'm not knocking Claire Huxtable because she serves a purpose.
Right. She did
She
at the
gave
time. She
Black
gave,
girls
yes,
something to aspire to.
agreed, agreed.
Okay, so I'm not taking that away from her. What I'm saying is find that blend and
Yeah.
understand that what we saw on TV was great for giving Black children something to aspire to of I
Mm-hmm.
can do that. A Black woman
Mm-hmm.
is on TV.
Mm-hmm.
A successful Black woman is on TV as a lawyer, and she has a husband who adores her and her children, and she comes home and she's still very much a force of nature in the home
Mm-hmm.
because her
Mm-hmm.
children knew not to play with her. Cliff knew not to play with her.
As
Okay,
Brad calls me, the sergeant. I am the
exactly.
sergeant. He's
Right.
like,
Okay. And
sergeant's
so,
home.
but they weren't good at showing that blend
Yeah.
because it's entertainment. So I get
Yeah.
that. But sometimes people watch these things and you subconsciously start making agreements with yourself or judgments on
Mm-hmm.
yourself
Right.
of
It's a
I'm
comparison.
not
You just,
doing it
right.
like that. I'm
Right.
sucking. I don't my house is not impeccably clean. I have toys everywhere, or the dinner is never on time to the table, and my kids' hair is not always combed, and it's like, but that's not reality.
Right.
Reality is sometimes my kitchen is clean but my bathroom looks a mess.
It's what you within your family unit have determined is your normalcy.
Correct.
Um, I'd say one of the hardest things for me was always traveling, going to certain places, doing for work. And I mentioned before, you'll wind up going to dinner with business vendors, and the majority of the time, it's all men,
Right.
like 98% of the time. So then
Wow.
they always want to say, so what does your husband do? So what does your husband
Right.
do? So what does your
Right.
husband do? What does your husband do? Because they are in their mind trying to figure out, like, we followed your progression, your career path, and we hear that you have children. Kind of a surprise because you
Right.
seem like, how can you possibly have children if you're doing all of this?
Right.
Like the wheels are kind of turning.
Right.
Um, and getting to a place to normalize the, well, my husband has figured out, he's figured out how to work corporate, he's figured out how not to work corporate, how to work for himself, but at the end of the day, he was always on board with wherever we needed to be as a family and
Right.
was there for the boys, and I just
Right.
shut it down. And I don't
And you
know
have
at
to,
what point.
because let me tell, and what y'all ain't gonna do, let me tell
Right.
y'all what y'all not gonna do. Don't be in my comments.
Right.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I'm just
Okay.
speaking my truth.
We
I
are
mean, it's just,
grown folk over here. Okay.
yeah,
Everybody's dynamic does not look like the cookie cutter.
I've
Some
said that many
dads
times.
work from home and stay home, and the moms work out, and it's okay. That's their marriage. That's what works for them.
Yeah.
Okay. My husband works from home, but I am the primary caretaker of the children. Now, I'm so glad and blessed that he's home, but my reality is he's still working.
Yeah, he's not
So we're
right.
not like he's home and I get to, like, you know, have
Get
lunch
him to
dates
actually
with
do
him or
something.
whatever.
No,
It is nothing like
he's
that.
working, right.
Listen, there's his space right there, okay?
Right.
That's his corner. The rest of the room belongs to me. But he stays in that corner many hours in the day. There are times that I have to come in here and remind him, "Did you eat lunch? Take a lunch break," because that is also one of the things of working from home is you're always on. And
Right.
people think, "Oh, it's so luxurious." Well, when it's a corporate job and you're on a salary and you're not clocking in hourly, there's no clock out clock. Like,
Right.
if
Yeah,
work
your work is all
carries
the time.
over into the middle of the night, which sometimes it does, depending on what is going on in the projects that he's working on, because it's just that thick in the weeds. He can get into the weeds sometimes. And so then I'm essentially a single parent in those seasons
Mm-hmm.
where I am literally doing everything by myself because he's got his head down and he cannot come up for air. And so it is a juggling act. It is, and everybody's dynamic is different. So what I'm saying
Yeah.
is, please do not take anything that we're saying today, and it's not a measuring stick to measure your life or
It's
to
not
see
the
how you're.
way. It's
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 not.
not the way. It is a way.
It is
It
a
is
way,
not the
correct.
way. It is a way. And the other
Everybody
reason
does it
I
differently.
everybody does it differently. And the other
Yeah,
reason I bring it up is because this is not oh, let's pile on and talk about all of the things that Darlene has been able to do.
right,
I've said this many a time to many people and to men. I've been able to do what I needed to do because I have an amazing partner.
right.
Period. Point
Yes.
blank.
And the operative word is partner. It is truly a partnership.
Right.
You're not able to do what you do if you don't have the support at home. He's not able to do what he does if he doesn't have your understanding and your support as well.
Right.
And so it is a team effort. It is teamwork. It is lots and lots of communications, and it's a few moments of intense fellowship sometimes, because we haven't even touched, which we're running out of time, but we haven't even touched the conflicts that ensue when the other party is salty because someone has been super busy
Right.
and there hasn't been a date in a while and there hasn't been that connection and that reaching, and we haven't even touched that. I don't think we're even going to get to that today, but that also is a factor. But one thing that I kind of just like want to put a whole bow on this whole conversation today is, guys, none of anything that we have talked about today would be possible if we did not know the Lord.
Preach it.
I'm just tell the truth right now, okay?
Speak on it.
Because that is one of, if not the major element to everything that we've discussed, is
Yes.
that we walk with the Lord. We have the Lord in our lives. And there are things that we have had to tackle through prayer
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because it was just that deep. There
Mm-hmm.
are different scenarios that we have not discussed yet and that probably are probably a little bit too private in the scheme of things. But just know, it's we make it look easy. Darlene makes it look easy, but it's not easy. There have been prayers upon prayers
Mm-hmm.
of asking the Lord to show her how to navigate each phase of life, with each relocation she's had to undertake, with each promotion that she's gotten. Every time something changes, the dynamic at work changes, but it affects the household too.
Right.
And so she
Right.
hadn't been able to navigate that without prayer, without knowing the Lord, without, because you have to also remember there are people on the corporate side that are pulling on her too and making their demands as well.
Right.
And so she's constantly trying to satisfy and meet a need, not just in the home but in the workplace as well. You can't do that without having Jesus and not lose your mind.
Precisely.
And I know
Precisely.
that I know that I know that this is true, because if you poll
Yeah.
a lot of corporate execs, I probably should have looked at the numbers of this, but I didn't know that where this was going to go today. But the stress level is probably pretty high.
Yeah.
We've heard on the news how many execs have, unalived themselves,
Yep. Yep.
because that's what the people are saying, because apparently we can't say,
Oh, okay. Well,
I don't
yes,
know.
understood.
I ain't trying to
We
get
don't, we don't, we don't
copyrighted.
want we don't want
Right,
to get this
right.
shut down, so we won't say that.
Exactly. But, they're not with us anymore
Right.
because they succumb to the pressure of life. And, I'm saying that I know for a fact, when you're walking with the Lord and you put God first in your life, when you allow God to participate with your journey,
Mm-hmm.
when you invite him
Mm-hmm.
into your
Mm-hmm.
processes, and you ask for guidance and direction, he will show you how to navigate the ups and downs of a corporate job, family life, marriage, not forgetting who you are as a
Right.
person, still being able to dream and make goals for yourself, and be adventurous and do new things and evolve and change. You can't do it alone. You need a tribe, you need a team, you need support, but you need God too. You can't forget, like, he's
Yeah.
the major component in all of this. You can't be doing all of these things and not have a source that you're pulling your strength from, because it will wear you slap out.
I don't know how anybody does it without. And, you know, to say that it's always top of mind, to say, especially for me, I always think about how do I want to show up
Right.
and in all of my interactions. And, just because you pray and just because God is a part of your life doesn't mean you do it perfectly. Let's be
Right.
clear.
Right.
I
Yes,
don't do
we're
it
not saying that.
perfectly.
Right.
We are
We
not
gonna mess
saying
up.
that.
We
I
gonna mess
have
up a lot.
I have stepped in some stuff.
Right.
Um, but my intention and my will is that let them see the light within me. When I take on certain offenses, when I have to deal with certain attitudes, when I have to deal with certain opportunities, um, it's Lord, please let them see your light within me
Right. Right.
as my ultimate prayer on how to handle things, because
Right.
I am always concerned as well with how it appears, because I don't want my character attacked, and I have to be very careful, just in general, because that's, I wouldn't say it's more of a being a people pleaser, but it's just I want to make sure that I honor who I am,
Right.
and but also think about others.
Right. It's an awareness. It's an
Yeah.
awareness of everything that you do and say is a reflection, whether it be
Mm-hmm.
a reflection on your family or a reflection on the place that you work, right?
Right.
You're a representative, and it's also a reflection of who God is. We can't be out here misrepresenting God and just willy-nilly doing what we want to do, saying what we
Yep.
want to say, and then saying, oh, but I come in the name of the Lord. But
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
out of order. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, we don't do it perfectly, but that's why we need God.
Yeah.
That's why we have to lean on him, because we don't know everything. And there's a saying that I say all the time that a friend of mine told me, that he sees around the corners that we cannot. And
Yeah.
that's why we need him, because he already has our days planned out. He's seen the beginning from the end and everything in
Mm-hmm.
between. So it would behoove you to get with the person who has the blueprint for your life, so that you can check in sometimes and say, you know what, Lord,
Agreed.
I know that I have my plan, but is my plan lining up with your plan for me? So, in closing, let's really wrap this up. Would
Yeah.
you say that your life has lined up with God's plan for you?
I would say it has to have been his plan because I couldn't have planned this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is such a how did I get here? Was I
Right.
thinking about this? Would I have seen myself? People ask you all the time, "Oh, did you envision yourself being here? Did you think you'd be doing this? Did you like no. No.
Yeah.
I thought that I would probably get married somewhere in my 30s, maybe have my first child somewhere in my late 30s, and
Mm.
one would be done.
Right.
And none of that happened in that way.
Mm.
So clearly, this is not my plan.
Yeah.
This is
This
God's
is his
plan.
plan. And you've been in your industry for how many years now?
Oh, at this point, I'd be like, I guess it's a quarter of a century. It's like
Oh
over
my
20,
gosh.
over 25
So from
years.
day one, God was ordering your footsteps.
I would never have thought about this place, never have thought about it going this way. But the
Wow.
experiences, the things that I've gotten to see, the way at which it shaped and molded me to where it pushed me to say, okay, all things through Christ. I can,
Right. Right.
and showed me the path is how I got here.
How you
Because
got
again,
here.
wouldn't have planned
So,
it.
your final word to the working mom who is either about to go back to work and she's leaving her
Mm-hmm.
newborn baby who's just like
Mm,
what, 6 to 8 weeks, 12
ugh,
12 weeks the most, and
yeah.
she's going back to work and she's having a little trepidation about that. What would you say to that mother?
Give yourself grace. Just give yourself grace. Um, that little pumpkin, when you come home, when you do get to hold them and smell them and touch them, they are just so happy to have you in their lives. And I know
Mm,
that it hurts. And I talked a lot about how, yes, after during the pandemic, how much I wanted to, because that time I'm dealing with teenagers. But we
right.
didn't talk about when I had to go back after maternity leave. And as much as I was leaving them with my husband because he took time off to stay with them because we were not living in a place where we had family, it 100% hurt. But I knew that this too I will get through it. And I did I just had to, let it go little by little, little by little. And like I just mentioned, full circle, they understand. The children do get to a point, sometimes not in that moment right then and there, but they do eventually get to a point where they can say, you know what? I can't complain. It's been pretty good. So,
Oh,
yeah.
that is so wonderful. Well, Darlene, I want to thank you so much for taking the
Oh,
time to come on my show and share with my viewers and listeners, and just getting to share you with the people on my platform who rock with me. Thank you so much for
awesome.
pouring into these women. And I know we
Yeah.
didn't get to cover everything that I wanted to talk about, so maybe we'll come back again at a later date.
Oh,
Maybe. But I just want to leave you all with the encouragement of, you really can do all things through Christ who gives you strength. Never forget,
right.
it's a
Yeah.
bumpy road, and we get
Yeah.
that. We are not saying that the road is going to be easy. We're not saying that it's all going to be rainbows and
Mm-mm.
butterflies. It's not. But we're here to encourage and empower and uplift you in that season of life, that you
Yes.
can get through it. You are doing it. Okay, look, you're
Give yourself
doing it.
credit. Give yourself
You're
credit.
doing it. And nobody said that it
Right.
had to be done perfectly, because we are not perfect. We are flawed. So,
Amen.
flaws and all, you're doing it. Give yourself a round of applause. Pat your back. You are doing it, sis. You're doing the thing. Okay. You got this. And
Yeah.
so, we just wanted to come on here and encourage you and tell you we're so proud of you. You're doing an amazing job. If you get knocked down, that's okay. If you need a few seconds to catch your breath, catch your breath.
Right.
But baby, get back up, dust yourself off, put your makeup on, fix your hair, fix your crown, and go do the thing, okay? Because that's
Good.
what we do. That's you. You can absolutely 100% do it. We are pulling for you. We are rooting for you. If you have any questions for Darlene, leave them down in the comments below. If you have any questions for me, leave them down in the comments below. Please make sure to mind your manners and be nice, because you will get blocked. Okay. We don't play that over here. Okay. We grown folk. This grown folk business. Okay. And you know what I'm going to tell you. You are loved. I love you, and God loves you more. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will catch you in the next video. Bye bye.
Bye bye.